You've just been so busy now with the new album, which I got to tell you, bro, I love it, love it. I'm a big Static X fan, but this even blows away Static X stuff.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. That was my goal. I mean, I had a big reputation to live up to, with all the great Static X records we made. So I think it turned out great too. Thank you.
One thing a lot of people don't know is that you're pretty much the primary songwriter for the band, correct?
Oh yeah, I pretty much wrote everything, other than a couple songs here and there, But for the most part, the whole process was me sitting at home writing and recording demos for Static X Music, and then I'd give the other guys the demos, and they'd kind of add all their parts, and then we'd work on things together as a band and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of leads me to what I wanted to say about Pighammer. Was really there was no compromising on this. It was very focused, very much my vision, and oddly enough, this was kind of my vision for the band for Static X in the beginning, and then Static X just kind of became more of a live band in the end. So we came back to a lot more keyboards and electronics and that type of vibe on this record.
One of the best bands I've ever seen live is Static X. I saw you guys in the early beginnings. I think it was at Coney Island High in New York City. And
I actually remember that show. I remember that show. I do.
I was fortunate enough. I actually ran into someone probably in like 2001, 2002 that taped the show from the stage and taped it from the back. And they did like back in the day before there was all this editing equipment, before any of this stuff, there was tape trading. And this guy shot. It looks professional. And I'll send you a copy if you want it. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just
that would be really cool to have.
Yeah, just you guys
back in
so young.
Back in the days when we were still riding around in the RV and had no crew, and I was helping mix the sound and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
And your career has totally progressed, and you're one of the bands that really broke out in the early 2000s that really just kept going and just making monster record after monster record. What kind of, especially the way the music business is now, what kind of pressure is on you, especially right now as a solo artist doing this, your first solo album, to have this album sell well?
Well, I mean, you can't really have the same kind of sales expectations that we used to have, 10, even 5 years ago. So for me, I just want really good feedback. I want to make the fans happy. I want to reach, even more people, and I want to have a good time doing it. And then it's all about just taking it out on the road to get the word out. But, the sales numbers are not such an indicator anymore of your success. It's whether you can go out and tour and keep making records and make a career out of it, which I'm a workaholic, so I've definitely managed to do that.
With the tour, a couple of weeks back, you started getting on the road and supporting the album. Is it on tour just the solo stuff? Are you mixing in some Static X stuff with there as well?
Yeah, we're playing a lot of old Static X stuff. Probably, over 3/4 of the set is old Static X material, and then we're mixing a few new songs. That's kind of the way I've always liked to do it. We play a lot of stuff off the first 2 records, a little bit from all the other records, and then slowly introduce the new material as people get to know it better. I hate going to see a band and they just play their whole new album and they never play your favorite song off their first album or anything like that. Yeah. So I always make sure to play something off every record.
Is there something that you just can't stand playing anymore?
That's a funny question. When I'm actually on stage, I'm not even really thinking about the songs. I'm just kind of playing, having a good time, and it's more about, like, connecting with the audience. And, I like to look my fans, like, right in the eye when I'm singing. And I talk to some singers, they're like, I can't look at my fans in the eye when I'm singing. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, that's what it's all about, man, So it doesn't even matter what song I'm playing. When I make a set list, I want to make a set list that I know the fans will like. But once they get on stage, it doesn't matter what song it is. I have a great time.
Assassins of Youth, we played it as we introed you in. From what I understand, it was written over many years, and the lyrics show really 2 sides of drug addiction. Very personal song. Care to elaborate how that song came about?
Yeah, I mean, the very title, Assassins of Youth, was an old propaganda term used by the government to try to get kids not to do drugs and stuff like that. And so it's also a great song title. And I started writing lyrics for that back in 2007. I just did this experiment when my wife and I first met. We were living in a hotel room, and we were doing a lot of drugs and partying at the time, as you could see if you check out the video for the song, which kind of represents what was going on at that time. And I just kind of wrote some lyrics and ended up passing out while I was writing the lyrics, listening to Pink Floyd, drinking some Crown Royal, and that's all in the first verse. And then the rest of the song I picked up later when I was writing songs for Pighammer, and that's more about coming to the realization that it's time to, get off the hard drugs and try to get my act together and get my record done. And I still drink, though, so I'm not a total quitter. I just quit the hard drugs.
Now, was there a point in time where you said, like you said, you drink now, but you don't do hard drugs? Was there a point in time where you said, like, enough is enough, or I really need to slow down or stop?
Yeah, I mean, it was really for health reasons. There came a point where, I felt like I wasn't healthy anymore, and then, there's a point where it's just not fun anymore, when you actually become a drug addict, and it kind of happens slowly over years, and then suddenly you just realize one day, like, wow, like, this kind of sucks, I'm like all shaky all the time, and I always feel like crap, and spending all my money on just some drugs just so I don't feel like I'm dying. And so and then it was a process to get off it too. We didn't do rehab or any of that stuff. I was actually making the record during the whole process. So that's really the theme of the whole record, actually.
It's a very personal tale, and it's an amazing, amazing album. Again, it is Pighammer, which you can get at your local stores. And I actually saw it on the Best Buy ad. When did you think that Wayne Static was going to be featured in the Best Buy ad that goes all over the country? It's crazy. Yeah, I'm sure you weren't thinking that back in 1999.
Back in 1999, a lot of people don't know this, but Static X almost got dropped from our label, Warner Brothers, at the time. The record almost didn't even come out. We had one guy at the label that actually liked us, and he was like, no, you guys got to put this record out. So they shipped something like 6,000 or 7,000 copies for the first week, which was nothing, Back then, people were still selling millions of records. And we only sold about 3,000 copies the first week, and then it just really grew and grew from there. And a year later, we had sold 1 million copies, So it's really a crazy building process, and so that's the long answer. But I know I did not expect to see myself in a Best Buy ad. What's that?
You're getting that phone call that's telling you, okay, we broke 1 million. Like, how does that just blow your world up from being just, like you said, 3,000 to 1 million, just like that in the snap of a finger?
It's kind of hard to believe, really, because 1 million is hard to comprehend. Like, I had to sign 500 copies of the new CD for a record store out in your area, and 500 is a lot. It took me like 6 or 8 hours to sign these 500 CDs, and then I got to thinking 1 million. You can't even comprehend that number. 1 million people actually went out to the store and bought my CD. I mean, that's the biggest compliment in the world. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, now everything's internet. Do you think the internet's the destruction of the music industry, or a more effective tool for people to hear your music?
For me, my personal opinion, I think it destroyed it, and not just from selling CDs and making money, but the whole process of the weeding out of bands is gone, and now there's just this barrage of bands and information. There's just too much for anyone to really comprehend. And because of all this, there's no weeding out. It used to be just the best bands would rise to the top, and then the ones that were really absolutely awesome, Metallica and that type of band would just be super bands. And now it's just millions of tiny bands. Most of them aren't any good, and the ones that are good are just getting lost in the mess of things. So I mean, that's really my biggest problem with it.
Thinking back to the days of 1999 to 2001, where it was fun finding a new band, and you'd go to the scene, you see the crazy talent that was out there, and that's how basically I found Static X and a lot of the other bands like System of a Down back in the day, from these little venues that everyone would play. And now the music industry is so different that one of the big revenue bases is the game market, the video game market, and you guys have been in all the WWE games and featured in Rock Band, the Guitar Hero games. Are you a fan of those musical games like the Rock Band and Guitar Hero?
I can't play those games. They're so foreign to me. I tried to play Guitar Hero one time, and I just couldn't do it. It sucked. It's absolutely like opposite of playing guitar. Like anyone who plays guitar is going to tell you the same thing. It's nothing like playing guitar. But having said that, I'm a huge fan of kids playing those games because that is introducing a lot of young kids to a lot of great music. Because a lot of that stuff is classic rock stuff, you know, it's stuff that I grew up on that the kids wouldn't even be listening to otherwise. So I think it's cool in that respect.
Well, I was hoping for more Static X songs on there because, to be honest with you, that's like a karaoke machine at my house on a Saturday night after we come home from drinking at 3 o'clock in the morning. We pop that on, all of a sudden you have Slipknot and Static X to do karaoke to. It's, you know, it's not your mama's karaoke.
Well, I was happy. I was really happy just to have one song when Guitar Hero asked to license Push It for their game. I was like, yeah, I'm a real rock star now. Guitar Hero's got to push it on there. Finally made it.
Static X, is it the end? Are we going to be seeing Static X back?
Not anytime in the near future. Right now, you know, this whole solo thing is just getting started. You know, I just started the tour. The record just came out. So I'm having an awesome time. And, you know, Static X had a really good run. Just towards the end of it, everyone was feeling like, you know, we did everything we wanted to do. Everyone had their other projects that they wanted to work on. And I've been dying to do a solo record for 10 years now, so I'm really happy I'm finally taking the time to do it. But I would not say it's the end of Static X, but, you know, I'm going to do this for a little while, and then we'll see what happens later on.
Otsego, what's with the use of the word? I need to know.
Otsego is a town just north of Kalamazoo, Michigan, and that's where I went to college at Western Michigan University. And I had a fake ID at the time, you know, as we all did before we were 21. And this dude, his name was Dean, and I can't remember his last name now, but his name was Dean, and he lived in Otsego. So that's how Otsego was, like, first introduced to me. It was this little crap town. There's really nothing there, you know. It's one of those little depressing towns. But when I first started writing music back in the Wisconsin Death Trip days, I was really fixated on syllables and the way it would feel to say words. Like Otsego felt really cool to me to say, you know, Otsego go and all this. So that was, I just kind of wrote lyrics like that, just with more of like a rhythmic thing, more than what the words actually meant. And then from there, it was just like fans would challenge me, like, are you going to write another Otsego song? You know, so then it became a joke, you know. So I think it was like 4 records in a row I had an Otsego song just because, like, I was like, well, they're challenging me, so I'll do it. I mean, I'll write a song about anything. You challenge me to write a song. You know, my wife challenged me to write a song about lube, so I did that for Cannibal, or Cult of Static, I'm sorry. And, you know, the song Love Dump was actually a challenge, you know, so I love that kind of stuff.
Evil Disco. Where'd you come up with that? It's such a great phrase, Evil Disco.
Well, you know, when Static X was first starting out, everyone in every interview would be, describe your music to me. What kind of music do you play? And I'd be like, well, it's kind of metal, it's kind of dancey, it's kind of groovy, it's kind of heavy, you know, and I got tired of, like, trying to use all these other genres and terms that I don't think my music fits into. There's so much more elements than just metal or just industrial metal. So we just started calling it Evil Disco, more as a joke than anything. And then it kind of stuck, you know. And now I call myself the king of Evil Disco. I think I created this whole new genre, and I think it describes my music perfectly.
You've been on the road for like 15 years now, I'd say, going strong. I need to know, what's your craziest road story?
My craziest road story is the day I met my wife, and this was Ozfest 2007, and she was on tour as well with the Hustler Lingerie Girls, and, you know, we do shots during our show all the time, and so my tour manager went over to the Hustler booth and got all these girls to come over, and they're all half naked and everything. You know, Tara's just got tape on her nipples, just wearing a thong. So she comes out on stage in front of 20,000 people, Ozfest crowd, and hands me my shot, and I'm like totally in awe, you know, like, oh my God, there's this beautiful woman here handing me this shot, and I'm speechless. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a porn star and I masturbate to you every day." And the microphone picked it up, 20,000 people just roaring at this, And then after the show, I told my tour manager, like, "Man, you got to go get the masturbating girl from the hostel and bring her back to the bus." I didn't know her name at the time. She was just the masturbating girl, So they brought her back to the bus, and we had a few words and went right back to the back lounge and got some business taken care of, and and we've been together ever since.
True love. I
Really.
love it. First masturbation story. I love it. What's the craziest groupie story or fangirl story that you could tell us?
Yeah, Tara's always right here next to me, but that same tour was crazy. This one time, there was this one chick that was in the Monster energy drink booth that was on tour, and Tara and I were in the back lounge just going at it, and this hot drunk chick just busts in, and then her and Tara started going at it, and then this chick just started vomiting everywhere. So there you go. There's your groupie story.
Is she with you all the time on the road, everything?
Yeah, absolutely. She retired after we got married, and we're inseparable. It really is true love. I can understand people, like all these dudes that are always trying to get away from their wives. Like, I'm trying to be with my wife all the time, So she comes everywhere with me.
I know you're getting ready to go on stage in a half hour over in Texas. Wayne Static, his new album is called Pighammer. You can check it out on iTunes. You can get it at your local Best Buy or any retailer that sells albums. Let me tell you, if you're a fan of Static X, it is better than any Static X album so far. Love it. Can't wait to see you on tour. For tour dates, we'll post them up on our website as well. But is it WayneStatic.com?
Yes, I actually managed to get the WayneStatic.com. It's pretty rare these days. Actually, a fan of mine already owned the name, and he was very generous enough to give it back to me, so it's pretty cool.
And we can't wait to see you here in New York. We're dying to see you live again, buddy. Let us know when you're coming around these parts, and we'll definitely be out to see you.
Yep, we'll get there soon, I promise. And thanks for all the compliments. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining.
The record, I appreciate it.
Anytime. We'll be playing the songs from the album all month, so check it out. Again, Pighammer by Wayne Static. Wayne, kill it on stage tonight, and thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thanks, guys. See you later.